Hey guys, welcome to the Because I Love You podcast, where I tell you everything a best friend should because I love you. My name's Bria. If you're new here, welcome or welcome back. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. Your engagement really helps our podcast grow. And yeah, let's get into it. So we're talking about FOMO today. FOMO's a bitch. If you don't know what FOMO is, it's just a cute little acronym that stands for the fear of missing out. I can remember the feelings of FOMO going back to like high school because I had parents who, they didn't let me do everything, but I had friends who always were hanging out together, and I was able to maybe hang out like every one out of those 3 times. So there were more times than not where I felt like I was really missing out and everyone was just closer than I was. As an adult, I hate to report that FOMO doesn't really go away. It just kind of changes its form and how it creeps into your life. So I'm actually in the middle of a FOMO-ish experience, and I wanted to just kind of expose myself because one, I know I'm not innovative by feeling like I'm missing out on anything, okay? 2, I know that some of you have probably experienced FOMO to some degree, and sometimes it's just nice to know you're not alone and you're not being dramatic, and maybe there is a silver lining. Maybe, because you're watching my video, so I probably have a silver lining for you, but I am currently going through a FOMO bit myself. It's kind of, gone in waves for me where it's like 1 minute, I'm fine. And you know what I've found to be the consistent common denominator in triggering me? Social media. Social media is the fucking devil. And I can even go back to high school, right? When I was feeling those emotions of missing out, it was because I looked at someone's Snapchat. It always goes back to social media. It's because, back then, pardon me, I'm not a dinosaur, but back then we were uploading pictures to Facebook, those really unhinged, like very candid digital camera photos. Like that's what we were doing in my time, back in my day. So it was just like you would get on and you would see like someone upload an album from a sleepover or whatever that you weren't at. And I could just remember feeling so crushed and sad about that if I wasn't able to make it. Now, of course, I made some things, but as a teenager, you just want to hang out with your friends. You don't want to hang out with your parents. You get it, right? But right now is Coachella season. Okay. And I don't want you to look at the thumbnail and be like, this bitch is mad about Coachella. Obviously, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. And I want to give you context around this whole Coachella thing and why it has triggered me into the depths of FOMO. It's really not just about the festival. It's not just about not getting invited. It's a little bit deeper than that. But yeah, long story short, I didn't get invited to Coachella this year. A lot of my friends did. And so this weekend, I've been sitting at home watching my friends, what looks like they're having a good time, what looks like they're having fun. And I'm just like so stoked for all of them. Like I really am. I have a lot of friends that have gone for the first time this year, and there's some of my mutuals. So like those people, I am just so excited to see them finally experiencing Coachella because my first time was last year. To be honest with you, I never had the desire to go to Coachella. I went to Coachella last year as a last minute thing just because, someone had offered us like really good tickets and we were like, seems like kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. We got the artist pass last year, which is nuts to get your first time, but that's why we decided to go because we were like, when else will this happen? We don't know. And I'm glad that we did because now I didn't get invited. So last year we went, and here's the thing. Last year I really was suffering with anxiety. You guys already know that. Last year at this time was very odd for me. There was a Metro Boomin set, which by the way was my favorite set at Coachella last year. John Legend came out first, and there was this orchestra of like black men playing the violin, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. There were like pyrotechnic things, like it was so cool. And then The Weeknd came out, and then it was 21 Savage. I can't remember, but honestly, I just know it was really cool. And it was like surprise after surprise after surprise. I was in heaven watching that performance. But to be fair, before it started, everyone went to this stage, and I'm actually so surprised they weren't on like the main stage. It was like one of the other stages. So it was really, really crowded. And one of my things that really triggers my anxiety is feeling claustrophobic, and we were body to body. And my thing is like, if I can't find an exit, I'm not doing well. So even with the artist pass, the section was still body to body. We were like shoulder to shoulder. It just was really uncomfortable for me. And I was really battling at the time. I was like, I'm not about to miss this opportunity. I'm not about to go home because I have anxiety. Like, I was so frustrated with myself, even though like obviously there's so much more to anxiety and just the way your brain responds, and you should never blame yourself. But I was really frustrated at the time. And I left Coachella feeling like I had an amazing time, but I also felt like, man, what if I didn't have anxiety? Like, how much more fun would it have been? I feel like most of the festival I was fighting myself, if I'm being fair, because I was like, I refuse to miss out on this. I'm here. I'm going to do the best that I can. But I am so proud of myself because I stuck it out and I had fun. Even if it was a little difficult at times, I had so much fun. The other reason why Coachella was a cool experience for me last year was because I got to meet so many people that are my mutuals that I never get to meet. It was kind of like the networking opportunity that I've always wanted to have. I will be totally honest with you guys that this job is very isolating for me. Hello, I'm on my couch talking to a lens. It doesn't always feel like there's somebody on the other side. And that's why I really appreciate your comments. Hell, I love when you guys spot me in the wild and come say hi, because you have no idea how much it transforms my perception. It really makes a difference when you can see a human and hug a human and look a human in the eyes, especially with this job. So those are kind of things that always make me feel like, okay, this isn't for nothing. There are people who actually care. You're doing something, you're helping people, you're making an impact in a good way, Bria. Like, that's all I want to do with my platform. So being able to go to Coachella and talk to people and meet them and exchange hugs and compliments with people that I've looked up to, it's so rewarding. And that was the first time I was ever able to do that. Now, mind you, I live in Texas, so there's no influencer hub here. We do have a lot of creators out here, but there's no scene. Like, if you follow an LA creator, you'll notice that they're always at events. There are literally parties all the time. Whenever I go to LA, it's no issue for me to be able to go to events or whatever. Same thing with like New York. It's kind of another influencer hub. So there's always events and parties. And so you kind of feel a little more integrated into this industry. But I find that I've really been struggling out here to feel like included. And I have a lot of bouts of FOMO because I'm not integrated in the scene. And this year especially, it's been more important to me. And I think a big reason why it's been important to me is because I finally feel better. I don't have this social anxiety that I've had for the past few years. This is really the first year I'm actually craving to connect and socialize with people. And so I've been a little impatient about it. I'm like, I want to get out. I want to meet people. I want to talk to people. I want to take meetings. Like, I want to get in front of brands. I want them to know who I am. Like, I'm ready for that. And I've been kind of bogged down by the fear of whatever that was for years, truly years. And before I lived in Texas, you guys, I lived in Kansas, for fuck's sake. So there was really no influencer scene out there. And something that I did when I lived out there was I helped create the scene. I helped create events and opportunities for creators to come out and meet each other. And I did my very best to do that. And so I left somewhat of an impact in Kansas City by doing that. But in Dallas here, like, one, it's just not really my calling. I don't feel led to try to be an innovator out here. I'm kind of more like focused on my personal life and just minding my own business. But anytime there's a chance to go to an event, I really try to make it. So circling back to the whole Coachella thing, it for me was really about networking, and it was about getting out the fucking house. I think I took for granted being invited last year, where I thought, oh, this year I'll get invited, no problem. Cause I saw like mutual after mutual, like they'll like post on their close friends story, like when they get invited somewhere and be like, who's going? It was like one mutual after the other. The invites started rolling in, the dates getting closer and closer. And I was reaching out to brands who could potentially be at Coachella. We finally got like a couple invites, and most of the invites that I got initially were like to the parties that don't even have anything to do with Coachella, because there's just a lot of brands that will go out there and throw and host parties. Like, I'm sure you guys see like Revolve Fest. Okay, that's a party that they have every year. Celsius was having something. There's a bunch of like gifting suites where you can go and like meet the brands. I like those for the whole reason of, hey, like I get to go talk to brands in person, show face, meet them, network. Okay. That's the reason why I really wanted to go. And then there's like the big nylon house party, which is another really good one to go to if you want to network. So yeah, I was just kind of like hoping to go out there. And I think also, lesson learned here, don't wait for the invitation. Just take initiative to set these things up. It's crazy because I've been invited like multiple years in a row, right? And the one year I wanted to go, it was like no invite. We had one legitimate invite and then they ghosted. So I was like, okay, love that. Literally like reached out a few weeks ago and then we hear nothing. We're like checking in like, hey, just trying to see where you're looking, what direction you're going in here. Nothing, complete ghost. But this is what brands do. I'm not going to act like that's not abnormal, but it's kind of shitty. It's like, just let us know that you moved on with someone, right? Because I would have tried to like buy a ticket off of someone if I really wanted to go. That said, why didn't you buy a ticket, Bria? Well, I did not buy a ticket because I'm building a house. Okay. Some of you may not know that. If you don't follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you may not know that in, February, AJ and I got a house. We are building a house from the ground up, a new build in Texas, and we're super fortunate about that. But that also means we're being a little more frugal this year. We're taking one big trip this year, which I've talked to you guys about last week. We're going to go to Europe for the first time together out of the country. And that is kind of like the one thing we are doing this year, which mind you, we've saved up for that for a while. So that's not like a huge surprise. But outside of that, this is the year that AJ and Bria are parking it at home, or we're just waiting to be invited places because our expenses have to go to a lot of other things now, which I'm sure any of you who are homeowners understand. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. And I'll have to do a whole episode on this whole house thing because I have so many thoughts. I'm the first person in my family to own a home, which is fucking crazy. Okay. There's a lot of emotions that come with that, a lot of happiness. I'm very proud of myself. There's also just a lot of guilt. Like, I shouldn't be getting a house first. I should be helping my parents out. Like, there's a lot of guilt here, but there's a lot of happy emotions too. It's just been like so overwhelming and a lot of unexpected things coming up with that I feel like we'll have to chat about. So anyways, that's why I was like, I'm not going to spend excess money this year on doing something like Coachella, but I would absolutely drop what I'm doing to go for work. Totally. And that's what happened last year is I was getting paid to do an opportunity out there. So I was like, sure, I don't mind going out there and doing that. That sounds great. And it was fun. So anyways, now we're here. It's weekend one. I'm actually filming this on weekend one. And I'm really surprised at myself because I thought it would be a little harder, to see all my friends there and being like, damn, I wish it was me, but it's been fine. And I'm really surprised about that. And I think that something that really helped me work through those weird emotions was journaling. As corny and cheesy as it sounds, is I opened up a journal and I just like brain dumped all my feelings because I kept feeling like some pretty strong emotions that felt much bigger than Coachella. And I was like, we need to get to the root of what's really going on here because this is not about a music festival at all. And sure enough, it started to unfold for me. And when I was journaling, a big thing that came up for me was feeling left out, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like I'm not working hard enough. It's just good to kind of get it on paper, I guess, to say like, okay, this is what's going on. Now, how can I disprove it, right? Not being a hard worker almost pisses me off to even write it down because that is so not true. I work my ass off, y'all. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I work hard. I work harder than I will ever show you guys. But behind the scenes, I do a lot because I have a lot of pressure on me to not only help myself, but help other people in my life. Pressure that I put on myself, but I'm the oldest daughter. Fill in the blanks. So there is a lot of pressure for me to work hard. And sometimes I feel like I can't work hard enough. And that also comes with like, frustration because I'm like, well, I can't work any harder or I'll burn out, I want to hire someone to help me, but that means more money. So I could just work harder and stop being a bitch. Like, it's really this crazy conversation I'm having with myself on what's actually feasible for me to do. And am I not a hard worker? I am. So that's not true. And I could easily disprove that. I wake up and I clock in every single day, just like this is a 9 to 5. I really do. I have a schedule. So there's one thing I could check off that list that clearly isn't it. Now, not feeling good enough. Okay, let's get into that because now we're talking about self-worth. And this was hard for me because I don't have any proof to say that I am good enough. That's a completely internal belief that I have to have with myself. When I look at my friends who are getting opportunities that I wish I had, I know that they deserve them and I know that they're good enough. So it's never about them. It's always about, why am I not good enough? That's always the question that comes up for me. And I had to go past that thought. So instead of saying, am I good enough? I had to ask myself, what am I validating myself with to measure my worth? What am I looking at here? Is it like my finances? Because that's actually not it. Because this year, I am so proud of what my manager and I have been able to achieve together beyond like what I was even expecting. So it's not about money. Okay. So how am I validating myself? It's these stupid opportunities. It's seeing the opportunities. And to be honest with you, it's social media. It's the smoke and mirrors of everyone's opportunities. I fell for the bit. So when I log on and I'm maybe not looking to find something necessarily, I might run into another creator that's doing the coolest shit. I mean, and with influencing, you guys know, like the opportunities don't stop. I have one mutual who is literally on the cover of Cosmopolitan right now. It's fucking iconic. Shout out Victoria. I have another mutual who's like the face of this makeup beauty brand, Tony Bravo. If you guys don't know her, please follow her. She worked with like Milani. Incredible. And it's easy to see your friends killing it and be like, shit, I'm not doing enough, especially in this industry because everything is posted online, right? So those oftentimes lead me to be like, okay, if I'm not having a cool opportunity, then that means I'm not doing good. And that simply isn't true. So from there, I had to go even deeper and say, how else can I measure my own success? In what ways can I measure success to know that I am enough and to know that I'm doing enough? Well, first of all, to know that I am enough just has to be with me. I need to start talking to myself differently and reminding myself that I am enough and I am doing enough. That literally comes from self-talk, because what I'm currently doing is convincing myself that I'm not working hard enough and I can always do more and that everyone else is outpacing me. They have teams, they have this and that, but that's not what this is about. I didn't get in this job to be in a rat race. I got in this job because I was passionate about it. I love creating. I love community. I love you guys. That's why I'm here. So I needed to find my own measurements for success. It's funny because I kind of have touched on this with my therapist, and she was like, Bria, you have so much going on. Like, you get whatever you want. So what is your end goal? And then when I was journaling, I remembered she said that, and I was like, valid. What is my end goal? What is my end goal? I don't know. I don't know what my end goal is. All I know is I want to be happy, healthy, stable, and at peace. That's what I want. And I think when I actually have those things, I mistake my peace for boredom. Red flag, red flag. I've been given everything I want, like my therapist said, and I get comfortable, and that's when I think something's wrong, because I've literally trained myself to be addicted to chaos, to be addicted to the struggle, to be addicted to the rat race. That has been my normal for so long that I just can't accept peace. I just can't fucking accept being fine. And so when I'm in those moments, I start to look around and nitpick about what other thing could I try to get? What other goal could I set? That's the problem with someone like me who's constantly setting goals. It's a blessing and a curse. We don't know when to stop. But again, I have to know when I've actually gotten the things I've prayed for. And I have. There was one point in my life where I just wanted to have a stable income with this job. That's all I wanted. And we're past that now. I'm so blessed and fortunate to say that. And now it became about this validation thing, like wanting to prove that to other people that I'm doing good. I'm seeking external validation now. And I have to remind myself that it was never about that. Like when did that happen? When did I completely switch up and convince myself that I need to have external validation, because that's never who I was when I started this. So what this has offered me is a chance to go back to the basics. You know, sometimes we get a little too good at getting the things that we want that we forget the principles. We forget the things, the fundamentals of it all. And I feel like I have to go back to like my early days of influencing and go back to that mindset. I really do. What I've realized with this entire situation, Coachella was just a trigger to remind me of all of this. So what I'm saying is Coachella is not that big of a fucking deal, guys. It just ended up being the thing to push me into this thought and help me reflect. And for that, I'm so grateful. If that meant closing the door on Coachella so that I could sit with myself and have a real honest conversation about where my head is at and what I'm looking to validate myself with, that's what I needed. I really did. So that's what I'm grateful for. And speaking of being grateful for things, gratitude is everything. And this whole situation made me lean into gratitude more. When you're feeling like you're missing out, pause and just immediately think of 20 very specific things that you are grateful for. You have so much, even if you feel like you have nothing. If you have running water, you have something some people don't. If you have a roof over your head, you have something some people don't. If you have family, friends, you have something some people don't. If you have a job, if you have food, you know, we can go on. And we get so accustomed to all of these things. And we just want more and more surface level things to feel some weird void. And for me, that void is stemming from my ego. It has nothing to do, I don't need anything else. I don't need another product. I don't need another experience. I can create it for myself if I want it, but I want to be invited because that is my ego. Really exposing myself here. But like, let's be real. It was never about going, because if I really wanted to go, I would have found a way to go to Coachella. It wasn't about that. I was trying to prove to myself that I was worthy enough of going and being in that room with other people in my industry. And I didn't need that experience to tell me that I was worthy enough. I needed to remember that for myself. And the universe so lovingly was like, we are not about to validate you by letting you go to Coachella and thinking that that's what makes you good enough. You were already good enough. I was already good enough. I just didn't believe it. And it's kind of crazy. The longer I've been in this industry, the more I've had to really work on my self-confidence. When I first started, you couldn't tell me shit. I was fearless, and I'm thankful for that, girl, because I would have done anything. I was hungry and I didn't have money. So that really played into my hunger. I was like, I don't give a fuck what my friends think or what these strangers think. I really don't. And I didn't. I did not. I embarrassed myself beyond belief. Sometimes we'll get those memories of like the things you posted like 4 years ago. It was just like 4 years ago, but oh my God, I'm like, I can't believe I posted that. That cringe. But what did I tell you guys? Embrace the fucking cringe, okay? Because the cringe will get you the bag. And so it did. But the more that I've proved to myself that I can do those things, I can have a stable income, the goal has pivoted. The goal has become, well, let me prove it to other people. Let me show other people I'm good enough. Why? When was that? When were we ever like that, girl? So yeah, back to the basics we go. And I'm very grateful for this experience. I'm not there for a reason because it wasn't for me. I'm not meant to be at Coachella this year. If I was, I would have been there, but I'm not. There's something else for me. One, this weekend, I got to really hang out with my family, and I haven't been able to do that in a while because we've all just been so busy. And my mom, you know, she's going through chemo treatments. Like, there's a lot going on in my family right now. So it was nice to be able to be home and just kind of spend some time. We were also able to do a lot of prep for our Europe trip, which hell yeah. We about to be in Europe. The content about to be lit. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to. Like, my opportunities look different than other people's, but it doesn't mean I'm not worthy of something. You know, To be able to go to Europe and afford that is a huge accomplishment. Something AJ and I have been working towards for a very long time. And I need to take a step back and really reflect on how cool that is and how grateful I am to be able to say that we're going there. I can't let these minuscule things cloud my mind and make me think that I'm just not enough because of one experience. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to all the hard work I've put into this job. And I think that sometimes FOMO can convince you of things that just aren't true because you're not in the room. You don't need to be in the room. What does that prove? I found this term Jomo, joy of missing out. I didn't come up with that. Not that creative. But this is from the Washington Post, a quote that was said. Jomo is actually being able to be in the here and now, to be able to enjoy what you're doing now without looking left and right and being jealous or anxious about missing something. Clap if you have Jomo. Clap if you need Jomo. Yes, that is where we need to be. We need to be in the here and now and understand that it's not about being in these rooms to prove something to yourself. Half the time, you probably would not have cared about these things that you have FOMO around if you weren't on social media. Log off, bestie, with love and light. And that's me. I'm calling myself out. I need to put my phone down and live in the present with all of these things that I have because I can't take that for granted. Nothing is promised to you. So while you're over here looking to your left and right, being jealous and anxious of people, you're not appreciating what's in front of you, the people who are around you, the things that you currently have, and that could just be taken away tomorrow. It really could. And if it was, how would you feel? Not to throw you into the what ifs, but it might make you understand how abundant your life is, how much you already have. And that is what I have to remind myself with FOMO. And again, I'm normal. I'm a fucking human too, okay? I love being able to sit here and offer you guys advice, but all this advice comes from me living it, and I'm in the middle of it right now, and I want to be honest with you about that. This job sometimes tricks me. It gets me, especially when I get caught up in too much work and I'm not doing those things that I tell you guys you have to continue to do, right? Like journaling, meditating. When I'm grounding myself and taking just even 5 minutes to think about the things that I'm grateful for in the morning and before I go to bed, the shift that my perception has on everything is just so drastic. I see the world differently when I take the time to look inward and look at what I have and really deeply feel and appreciate all of that. Because none of this is guaranteed. None of it. It's all a blessing. And when there's a closed door or an opportunity that you think you missed out on, it is a blessing or a lesson. It's one of the two. And I think in my case, it was 100% both. Because again, with not going to Coachella this year, it was a huge lesson for me everything I said, to realize I can't validate myself with these opportunities. That's not healthy. I deserve so much more than that. I put way too much into everything that I do to be sitting here validating myself through an experience that doesn't matter. But if I want to go and I can be healthy about that, that's totally different. You know what I'm saying? It was a huge lesson for me to remind myself and go back to the basics. And I'm grateful for that. FOMO is so relatable, you guys. I can't be the only one, okay? Don't make me feel like I'm the only one. I'll end on this. Water what grows for you. I will also say that in my case with FOMO, I find that I'm trying to put myself into places that I feel like I don't belong, just to prove something to myself, to prove that I'm good enough, to prove that I'm wanted and that I'm loved, or whatever it is. But water what's growing, water what's working for you. You don't have to force yourself into spaces that don't accept you. And sometimes that's just what it is, okay? I don't always need a seat at the table. I'll build my own fucking table, but I don't want to insert myself into places and situations that don't appreciate me or love me for who I am right now. If I'm just not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay because I'm my own cup of tea. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about FOMO. I know that we all experience it, and if you've ever dealt with FOMO or if you're currently dealing with it, let us know in the comments. How do you get through FOMO in your life? Is there anything that you do in particular? This weekend's been fun for me because I just was like, you know what? I'm not going to stay home and look on my phone all day at people having fun at Coachella. I'm going to have fun here. We went to the mall yesterday. We did so much. We went to the farmer's market. Like, I'm going to enjoy the life that I have over here. That's fine. And in turn, I realized the FOMO just kind of went away and I was able to actually go on social media and not feel like sad about it. I actually enjoyed watching all my friends having the time of their lives and seeing all the Coachella outfits and photos. Like, I love it. I love it. So just go back to the basics. Anyways, thanks for joining. I love you guys. Don't be too harsh on me for exposing myself. But anyways, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps the podcast grow. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week.